the night before Christmas for all the NASCAR fans, the night before the Daytona 500 as I am recording this. So let's talk about some of the major storylines going into this race, which will hopefully prepare you to watch the 63rd running of the Great American Race. So without any further ado, let's get into it because there is a lot of stuff to talk about. And welcome back to the channel. I'm recording this on a Saturday night, and hopefully by Sunday we will have the Daytona 500. But if there are any delays, or even if there aren't any delays, you should definitely pick up this shirt from our pals over at Race 92. It's noon when races really should start. So if you'd like to pick that up, go down in the description below. But we got to get started talking about the Daytona 500, which there's a lot more storylines this year, it seems, than there has been in years past. For whatever reason, it seems like there's just a lot to break down. So the first thing I want to talk about is how the racing is going to be. Because last year we saw a very, very fast Daytona 500. They were going about 205 to 210 miles an hour when they really had a big run in the pack. And we did see what happened with Ryan Newman last year, a really big accident right at the end of the race. Very lucky that Ryan Newman was able to survive that and race again. Of course, he's racing in this Daytona 500, and that is just a fantastic thing. But because of that, NASCAR made some changes to the cars, and they are now 10 miles per hour slower than they were last year. Now, that being said, it doesn't seem like the style of racing has changed very much from last year. The runs are tremendous, and it seems like passing, if the drivers want to, is going to be no problem. The only problem with that is that with the increased runs, the increased ability for drivers to pass each other, that also increases the ability of bad blocks to happen. And in some ways, I'm almost expecting a very heavy wreck-filled Daytona 500. I hope I'm wrong there, but I'm a little bit worried. Unless they train the whole race, which I think will displease fans as well, or maybe even more than if it was just a wreck fest and they try to run three wide the whole race. I do think we're going to see a lot of accidents tomorrow. And I hope everybody gets out of it okay. Obviously, you do run very big risks. These are the biggest risks NASCAR Cup drivers take all year, is running in these packs at almost 200 miles an hour. And, when things are on the line big time, like the Daytona 500 trophy, absolutely, you're going to see some crazy stuff. So I'm hoping that when we see some crazy stuff, everybody's able to put the window net down, go to the care center, and then have an angry interview where we get lots of drama out of it, because that would be good in all respects for us. Now, I think we should talk a little bit more about the race itself and the drivers in that race. And I got to start out with Bubba Wallace because he's a big story, like it or not, going into this race, and he's got a legitimate shot to win. Now, he's driving with a new team called 2311 Motorsports. That's co-owned by Michael Jordan, who is the majority owner, and Denny Hamlin, who, of course, is driving in the race. We'll be talking about him here in a bit. Their cars come from Joe Gibbs Motorsports, so they are Toyotas, and they are top-of-the-line race cars. And Bubba has definitely been proving that. He has been one of the fastest drivers throughout this speed week. He topped the early practice session. He almost won his dual race. He qualified the fastest of the Toyotas. But as I have said in a couple of other videos, it seems like Bubba's well aware of the opportunity that he has. And it seems like he is putting some pressure on himself. I would say, and I'm just going to go out on a limb here, Bubba's either going to win the race or he's going to crash out of it spectacularly. I think he is going to be checkers or wreckers. I think he's going to be going for it. And I think as long as he's in the race, he will make the race a very exciting one. Now, I think I need to remind everybody, because I've seen a lot of Bubba doubters for some, well, I know the reason, but there's a lot of Bubba doubters out there. And I remind everybody that in his first Daytona 500 attempt as a rookie, driving for Richard Petty Motorsports, he finished second. So Bubba Wallace is not a slouch, especially at this kind of a racetrack. And with the piece he has under him, he's absolutely a threat for the victory. And that kind of goes to the next point, which is Toyota, just across the board, is fast. In fact, in my personal opinion, the winner tomorrow will be driving a Toyota-powered car. Now, whether that's Bubba Wallace, whether that's Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., or Denny Hamlin, who's going for his third Daytona 500 win in a row. And quite honestly, that is unprecedented, not really even just for the Daytona 500, but certainly in the modern era. I mean, it's just how, with as random as these restrictor plate races are, particularly the Daytona 500, where, again, I've been talking about how it's chaos. There's oftentimes very large accidents. The fact that Denny Hamlin is in a really legitimate spot to win 3 in a row, I think that should be commended. He's definitely a modern driver who is just very, very good at Daytona. I think when his career ends, I think we're going to put him up there on the Mount Rushmore in terms of Daytona 500 drivers. We need to talk about Hendrick Motorsports. Obviously, and we've been following it on this channel for a while, so you should definitely subscribe if you haven't, but the Kyle Larson return. Of course, he did a racial slur during the lockdown races on iRacing, got fired, got suspended from NASCAR, worked to rehabilitate his image both on and off the racetrack, not only winning a bunch of races on the dirt, in fact won around 60% of the races he entered last year in dirt racing, but has also worked in the African American community and tried to learn why he shouldn't have said the N-word. And he has been rewarded by that, or rewarded from that. He has been put onto the Hendrick Motorsports team. And while his car has not looked the best, I still think that Larson is a consideration as a potential race winner. And I look no further than the times he raced for Chip Ganassi. When Chip Ganassi didn't have the best cars, Larson found a way to be there at the end of the race. I mean, he was 1 lap away from winning in 2017, so anything is possible. But I think the rest of Hendrick Motorsports is going to be much more of a mixed bag. Alex Bowman is the pole sitter of the race, and he had some engine issues, or at least potential engine issues, in his dual race, so much so that they pulled the car off the track and had to check it. Now, they are not going to pull that car off of the pole position. It will start as it is. But I think the reliability concerns may be something, if you're an Alex Bowman fan, that you may be worried about. The other front row starter, well, he's not a front row starter anymore. He'll be starting from the back because of an accident in his duel. But William Byron, I think, is fascinating because of the fact that they're going to a backup car. And in my mind, I just wonder, if they focused on qualifying at Hendrick Motorsports and the primary car got wrecked, I wonder if the backup car may be a little more tuned to race well. So at least thinking that way, perhaps out of the Hendrick Motorsports stable, William Byron's going to be the guy who's going to be the fastest. And, of course, NASCAR champion Chase Elliott. What else needs to be said about him outside of the fact that he hasn't won the Daytona 500 yet? I think certainly it's probably coming very soon. If not this year, I would not be surprised one bit. Ford. Ford is an interesting prospect because while I don't think they're the outright fastest manufacturer, I think they've got some really good shoes, particularly the Stewart-Haas Racing Team, which if a Ford wins, I believe it will come from the Stewart-Haas Racing organization, and even more specifically, I think it'll either be Eric Almirola or Kevin Harvick. That being said, I think the Ford contingent is also bolstered by Joey Logano and potentially Austin Cindric. He just came off a win in the Xfinity Series race, and in his duel before a speeding penalty, it looked like he was very fast as well. Finally, finishing out kind of the ones to watch, I would say Austin Dillon, who of course also won his duel, joining Eric Almirola with that distinction for 2021. And I think that the moves that he made were very impressive at the end of the duel. So he's obviously won the race before, winning it in 2018. So I think Austin Dillon is a potential threat to win. I think the one thing that will work against him is if there's a lot of cars running at the end, he's going to have less teammates to rely on up at the front of the field versus like a Penske or a 2311 with the Joe Gibbs organization that may be able to help him as well. But I think he is a guy who's going to be a legitimate contender when the green flag falls. So, again, I think the winner is going to be a Toyota. And again, I think if it's Bubba, it's going to be checkers or wreckers. It's so hard to bet against Hamlin too, though, isn't it? I feel like the safe money's on Hamlin, but at the same time, I feel like an Eric Almirola or a Kevin Harvick could be just as good of a choice. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, going to have a lot of analysis to come as this race hopefully ends tomorrow. And if it doesn't, we'll do something to fill the time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.